episode 84, Blind Spots Podcast, at Bobby Bronze, at Not Patrick Hughes. Would say guest, but it's more like family. He's been on before, obviously. John Boyd is here with us early. How's the week been going for you, fellas?
My week has been cool so far. I'm still in the middle of this training shit at work, so my schedule is like still kind of off. But yeah, so far the week's been good. Last weekend, took my daughter to her best friend's third birthday party. It's weird how like kids have best friends already now. I like it's she's been in the daycare with this girl since she was like, I guess 1. And
so she knows
right.
She doesn't know much life without her.
Yeah, not at all. And like Karina hangs out with her mom. Like they do like little girl meetups without the baby, which is I'm like, okay. I still don't have any friends. But Karina's making friends. But nah, what's it called? What happened? Yeah, like honey just turned 3 maybe a couple weeks ago. Her best friend turned 3 last week. They were in separate classes for like a week, and every day I went to go pick her up. She made me like take her to her previous class and go say bye and give her a hug. Like literally was like, I want to say bye, and was like falling on the floor crying when I didn't. And I was like, oh, okay, my fault. So yeah, that was interesting. It's always good to like, your kids will give you a community, right? Like, so that's cool to see, because I chopped it up with like the kid's daughter, the kid's dad, and some more dads that were at the little birthday party, and everybody got pandemic babies. So I was like, oh, okay,
Yeah,
all right, yeah,
that's fine.
This is okay. So this was like a sub-pandemic, a sub-endemic under the pandemic, was just like niggas getting married and having babies. And I'm like, oh, okay. It was like 6 of us, and everybody kid was like the same age. It was like, yeah, we got married in the pandemic. Yeah, had baby a little bit. Everybody baby the same age. Like, oh, all right, that's crazy. Niggas was.
Is everybody fatherly? Like, are all the dads fatherly?
What you mean by fatherly? Like we all like wear sweater vests? Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah,
like
quarter zips. It's quarter zip season right now.
Yeah. Zip it up. Or is everybody like still cool? You know what I mean?
Everybody reminisces on the days when they were at peak school. Like, one of the guys was just about to have his first kid, and he had on like maybe like some like some of the 85 Chicago ones or whatever that came out, whatever. The ones with the crackle on it that had like the aging on it already.
Yeah.
We told him that wasn't gonna be a thing anymore. Like, so like, I think his kid's about to drop in December, and we were like, yeah, like, go ahead and get like your last pair, because like it's not a thing no more.
The heat is done.
Yeah, it's over with. Like, when you got to spend, like $1,000 a month in daycare, like the money for shoes just kind of like, all right, let me see what Ross got. Like, it's just like,
or what's on the super duper sale.
Yeah, well, you got to catch everything off the sale rack, or like, you know what I'm saying? And which you could, if you know where to go, then you're fine either way, because Keith and Bodega and everybody else be running sales like a mother.
So undefeated.
You can find some nice shit if you know where to look, but generally people just kind of, if they don't hit on sneakers, then they don't know where to go. So, but that's pretty much it though. But no, I mean, it was a cool group of dudes. It is very strange. It's different because nigga, you know me, bitch. They're lucky I ain't show up with a full local, bitch. Jesus Christ. You know me, baby. I'm trying to party. So we are definitely.
You gotta get some Dominican friends.
There you go, right? Like put that Man, that's another story for another day, boy. Boy, I don't even know if I can tell that on this podcast yet. You know what I'm saying? I had some friends. I had some friends that was litty.
I went to a
But
2-year-old's birthday party and there was a whole table full of liquor. And I was like,
oh, that's
the
a
fuck is
beautiful
going
thing.
on here? He's like,
That's
oh, that's just how we do shit. He's like, you want
Coping.
something? I was like, well, I guess I'm here.
the music. To see the music was there. The music was there, but the drinks was not available. Like the music was like, it was like fucking Genuine or something. I'm like, it's like a slow jams
Whoa.
playlist. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like it's like mad. Like sound like an Insecure episode basically, but it was no wine. It was no. So I was like,
No
damn,
brown
okay.
liquor.
You know, nah. But it was a very wholesome event. You know what I'm saying? It was very cool for the kiddies. Very kid friendly.
So it's like
But
red
yeah,
solo cups, but with like orange juice and the shit.
fat though. You know,
Or Capri Suns, right?
like
You could
everybody
pour the
just had
Capri Sun over the
cut
ice.
cut the tops off the pre-suns and put them in the cooler. Like you
See,
probably
that's when you come with the little pocket, the little mini.
they lucky
Yeah,
I
Little
ain't
mini
had
in
no
this.
Four Loco, bro. They lucky. They lucky
You
I
throw
ain't have it
a
on me.
little vodka
Four
shot
Loko.
right in. You put the vodka with the Capri Sun in
Hey, do
your
you
red
know?
solo cup. And
Hey, it's
everybody knows what you got.
party fat, baby. You know I'm with it. So I was on my best behavior. So I was like, okay. But no, it was cool. I think I got my cousin's stepkid's birthday is this weekend, so that's another situation. I haven't yet replied to that invite yet because I'm just like, bitch, another sober weekend don't sound fun to me, bitch. But we'll see. Uh,
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. Yeah, you gotta have a little bit. But like you said, you at this point, or you come with one of these, the little flask.
oh
You could
yeah,
throw whatever you
yeah.
want in the little flask, and it's insulated, so it'll stay cold.
Oh yeah,
Type
and
shit.
this
So
weekend, I guess we got wine and tie dye. Fibers, my wife's company's throwing her wine and tie dye event where you come in, get some unlimited wine, and make some tie dye. Bring in your white
Oh, that's
clothes, your
fire.
old stuff. Whether you got some old
love
white
tie dye.
socks that ain't looking the same no more. Now you got some tie dye. So come in. You know what I'm saying?
Breathe some new life into the old garments.
Yes, sir.
Hell yeah, that's fire.
What y'all got
Then I'll
lined
pass
up
it
for
on
the
to you, John.
weekend? How was y'all?
How's your week been going?
Man, I've been traveling, man. I've been in Pennsylvania. I was in Pennsylvania for the election. We'll get to that later. That's hilarious. I've been in
Yikes.
Delaware and I'm in Florida. I'm getting ready for the show this week. So I've been trying to keep things positive, a lot of practice, a lot of new jokes being written, just trying to stay locked in, man, for my first 30 minutes.
Fire.
Fun. That's fun. Outside of, was there anything particular that wasn't going to be spoken about later while you were up in that region? Is there like family there or something like that?
Yeah, it's family. I had it was a good get together over there. How you doing? A good get together, and it was cool, man. It was good to see. It was good to see family. It was good to see friends. Um, man, that part of the country is a very interesting place. It's not what we think it is on the internet. I'll say that. But yeah, I'm excited to be here, man. I'm really excited. I think last time we talked was maybe like a year ago, and I'm excited to return to the Blind Spot show. I'm excited to talk some shit, and I'm excited to get it ready. So let's get to it.
Yeah. And then mine was pretty simple week. I didn't really do a whole lot. Boring stuff. I got this fucking like bruise on my arm from lifting. I guess I don't know how I got there. I just had this big ass bruise on my arm. Didn't realize it's been there for like a week. So I've been just kind of monitoring that. Hopefully it's nothing too crazy. But I think it's just a bruising. I'm sure you guys have had like muscle spasms before. So like usually it just kind of flinches, like the muscle just flinches, and it's painful, like a Charlie horse.
Yeah.
It locked up
Oh,
for like 3 minutes straight. It was just stuck, and then I put some ice on it, and then I didn't notice I had a bruise. And so I'm like, how far back did this bruise go? And so we had went to that thing I was telling you about. It was a little wine and food festival in St. Pete. And I had that Isumiyaki tank on. And so she showed, there was a picture and it shows it and I could see it on my arm then. I'm like, I didn't even realize it was then. I just noticed it about a week ago. So it's blistering and the skin is peeling off of it. So I don't know. Hopefully
You been seeing that
it gets
trend?
better.
You been seeing that trend on TikTok? Motherfuckers do like the generations when they bump into a door.
Yes,
That's what happened, brother.
that could
You
be.
know what I'm saying?
That
you might
could be it.
have
'Cause
an '80s mindset where you just get bumped and you just keep rocking like ain't nothing even.
it's been plenty of times. Like I remember playing basketball when I was younger, and my mom would be like, "Man, you got black eyes." I was like, I didn't even know. Like then I
That's
probably
racist.
got elbowed in the face or some shit.
Oh, you just
So
roll with the
yeah,
punches. You don't
but
even give a fuck about none of that.
I don't feel it until I see it.
Yeah.
Like I had a nice little cut on my leg earlier, and Alex put one of them brown Band-Aids on it. I was like, I don't think I needed that, but whatever. She's, but she springs into first aid mode when there's a little bit of blood. So she took care of that. So I need to sit down is basically but the moral of that is I need to sit down. So I'm about to take a week off in like a week or so. And then
Oh, sure.
lifting with those guys, that the BPL guys, they go hard in there. So I can't go with them for a little bit. Gotta chill out.
I'll say this,
Yeah.
man.
That's
You, hey
pretty
man,
much it on that.
I've noticed, bro. Pause. I've noticed, bro. You getting swole, man. Good job. I don't know what you're doing. I don't know if you're eating your greens or taking your creatine or whatever, but you're getting swole, man.
All of it. And thank you. A buddy of mine saw me walking because I'll be walking in the evenings. And he's like, I think I just seen you walking on MLK. And he's like, man, keep that shit up, man. You look good. And it brought me to one of the things I was talking to somebody about a little while ago, that when you get in better shape, like you think it's like a lot of times people will be like, man, it's ladies that's looking for you. It's never that.
Just
It's
dudes.
always dude. Dog. And then they actually will hit on you in the gym. Like
Yeah.
I was with the BBL guys and a dude was like, yo, what do you do to get your traps bigger? And like, I'm starting to become the guy where people see me and start asking me questions. And like, don't get me wrong, I think I have a firm grasp on what I'm doing, but I'm really an introvert. So if you asking me questions about this, I'm like, I don't know, nigga, I do what's comfortable. Like that's really what my first answer is. Like, I don't know. I ain't no expert Google this shit. Like all I did was Google it. But they asking me questions and like, bro, I don't know. He's like, do you think I need to eat more? And he's like, what do you think about me? Like, what do you think what do
Look
you
at
think I need to
me. How
get
do you
bigger
think?
arms? I'm like, motherfucker, I don't know. Like, if you want to get bigger, eat. Like, I eat the right shit. I measure everything. I walk. I lift. I progressively overload. I get enough sleep. But I ain't really writing that down and talking to somebody about it in the gym. So I might have to just start working out in like hoodies or something so that they don't think that I'm as good as I am, and then
Motherfuckers
they'll just leave me alone.
be seeing that
I ain't
shit
gonna lie.
glisten. They be seeing that shit glisten off you and be like, man, try to get like that.
I ain't gonna lie. 2 weeks ago, I was in the gym. I was doing military press, but I was doing the
Tough.
joints where you do like the behind the back military press. So I'm doing 45s, and this buff dude coming to me, he said, "Man, you pretty strong." I started blushing, bitch. I said, "Hell, I love
Listen,
me."
it,
It ain't nothing
hey,
like a dude compliment.
we're the same as them. Like it took me so much time to be like, yo, all the thick girls always want to go in there and do legs, and then I'm like, yeah, but then all the strong niggas always want to do arms and chest. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, so ass is arms and chest for us. So the same
Yeah.
way we'll go in there with the cut off sleeves so you can see the arms is the same way they do the little shorts that rolled up and tuck the shirt in the tank so
Yeah.
you can see. And I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm over here tripping thinking that they the one tripping. Like, man, we hoes too. Like, we
Well-
might be worse because
well,
niggas
can I
be
tell you the
walking around
truth?
with no shirts on. I'm like, yo, what's going on? Yeah.
I tell you the truth. I think it's because men don't have anywhere else to be slutty. You know what I mean? I think the gym is the only
be that.
place a man can be slutty. I seen Tyree, shout out to the BBL boys. I seen Tyree wear Daisy Dukes to the gym. I seen Xavier wear cutoff shirts, but like the cutoff was almost like a crescent moon cutoff, so you can see a little bit of his nipple. I'm saying that there's no other safe place. There's no other safe place for a man to be a slut than the gym. There's not.
It's got to be. They pull the most tripods I've ever seen in the gym were 99% men. It don't even be women. And I'm like, I only see women working out online. I've seen 5 dudes
You
this
know what?
morning, 5
That's-
plates on the chest, on the leg press with the camera up. And I'm like,
What are you doing with this footage?
Yeah.
what would
We
your
need safe-
father think?
We need several places to be sluts, bro. I'm telling you, bro.
Yeah.
There you go.
And so now I'm no judgment. Now I'm no judgment. I just put my head down. I put my headphones on. I put on the side baby. I put on my head, my hood, and I lift and I don't pay attention. I love to put the little noise cancellation on. I don't want to hear nothing. I don't want to hear me grunting. I don't want to hear no plates slamming. I don't want to hear shit. And I want to get the fuck up out of here. But now
Hey.
they coming to me with questions now. So now I'm like, I don't want to answer
Shit.
it.
I seen last thing I seen, buddy. You said you don't want to hear yourself grunting. These niggas be mic'd up in them motherfucker now.
With
These
the
niggas
with the clear joint.
Yeah, be mic'd up in the gym. Talking about some doing the damn Shannon
The
Sharp, man.
hamstring curl.
Hey,
Yo, I
straight
seen
up.
a dude. He got the camera in his face doing the hamstring curling. And I don't know if y'all know what the hamstring curl is. This is the one where you lay down and you holding the handles
Yeah.
and you bringing your legs
The
back
Superman.
towards your butt.
that's different.
He got the camera right in his face and he's pulling it and he's grunting. And I'm like,
Yeah,
I don't know if it's doing what you thought
yeah,
that
yeah.
it was doing.
It's doing it for somebody.
Yeah.
50,000
50,000 bookmarks. Like, what the fuck are you guys doing with this?
So
Have some
let's
decorum,
get
bro.
into it, man. Last week, we lost 2 legends. Well, we lost more than that, honestly. The
Everybody's
celebrity-
dying.
the celebrity death toll is rising rapidly. But I guess the most notable ones, Tony Todd, who is a voice actor and most notably, Candyman, passed away. I think he
Niggas
was,
seen the writing on the wall and checked out.
boy. Hey, that's the thing. He was like, he didn't want to make no more Candymans. Candyman is actually a very political horror movie, so it makes sense. But yeah, so Tony Todd checked out. Great career. I think one of his most recent credits was playing Venom in Spider-Man 2, the video game. So, good career, legendary stuff. And then we got Quincy Jones, man, the super legend, like the myth.
Ubiquitous.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of stuff we
If
wouldn't
you
have
like
without Quincy
music,
Jones.
you like Quincy. So,
For sure. I was honestly, I knew that he produced for Frank Sinatra, but because I'm not like a Frank Sinatra fan, I never checked into what songs or what albums. This nigga made Fly Me to the Moon. Like,
I was about to
wow.
ask you guys, what was the one thing that you learned about Quincy that you didn't know? Because I didn't know that Vibe was his. Like, that was the thing that I was like, what?
Yeah, so the Frank Sinatra thing is the one for me. Like, that might be just more of how my mind is like always slanted towards this stuff. 'Cause I'm always like, man, even their favorite shit is our shit. It's like,
The shit show. And it just
But-
proves it right there. It's like,
Yeah, like,
and then you
they
listen to it, you
probably
like, white boy could have made that shit.
literally, I'm like, you know
nigga,
what?
white boy ain't never made my feet tap like that.
Now that I listen to it, it'll sound like,
Like
a
if
nigga
your
on that
shoulders
bass.
move too much, if your shoulders move a little too much,
Check
it
the
was
credits.
some niggas behind it. It had to be. If your
Check the
hips
credits.
moved, had to be some niggas a part of it. And then you see it, and
Only,
it's like, well,
only a nigga could
duh.
do that. Doom, 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 doom. That's nigga shit. So
Okay.
yeah, you know, if you got Will Smith anywhere in your favorite, like, you know, catalog, thank Quincy Jones. He's the one that brought us to Fresh Prince. Although, you know, Will Smith was already rapping, but to take it to acting and give him that career, man, that start comes from Quincy Jones. And then we got some Aretha Franklin records, but most notably those grown ass Michael Jackson records, man. Off the Wall, Thriller, Bad. So yeah, that's a lot.
The mic that most people are fans of, it was
Yeah,
probably Quincy attached to it.
for sure. And that's saying something, man. That's saying something. To be able to have a career that spans that far, and touch that many people and that many industries, man. That that is like what you think of when you think about legendary. Like, so
Super computer brain, because I can't even imagine how you like do anything, any one thing for that long and
yeah,
that good for that long, like sustained greatness for that long. Like I would get bored at some point, even if I was that good. Like, what was it, like 50, 60, 70 year career? Like that
yeah,
doesn't,
insane.
I don't know if I want to be on this bitch that long. And he was on this bitch that long making music, like, and making great music. Like
Level,
I
yeah.
think his credits went back as far as like 14 years old. Like, like what the fuck?
Uh, yeah. You thought about like the length of time that he's been working, and that kind of just made me think about, I guess, the next joint is Denzel Washington, and has just kind of laid out his pathway for retirement. He's doing his press runs for Gladiator 2, which they say is like the
Got
instant
that shit
classic,
on.
and they say he gonna get another. He's a favorite to get another Oscar. Um, but he laid out a retirement path. I think it's like maybe 4 or 5 films. Antoine Fuqua, who made Training Day, is on there, and the Equalizer
Spike
series.
Lee.
He's on. Spike Lee is on there. The High and
He
Low.
doing the Black Album joint.
Facto.
Yeah.
And then of course the Ryan Coogler Black Panther 3. Um so I'm excited. I was extra excited. It's this weird how this works. So they said that Gladiator 2, his role in Gladiator 2 is gonna be like an Oscar worthy performance. So I'm like, like, let's go, right? And then it came out he was gonna do Black Panther. I'm like, and this is like literally like within hours. Came out he was gonna do Black Panther 3. And I'm like, oh shit, like we won. Like it's happening. He finally joined it. And then like literally an hour after that, it was like, oh, his final few films. And I was like, wait, what? Like, why? So, I was excited and then I was sad. And I guess I'm excited again because ain't nothing better than seeing niggas get to retire. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's you get to ride off in
Go
the
out like
sunset.
in a blaze of glory, not
Yeah,
not us like pushing you out. Like, like, hey man, hey old man, you probably should be done here.
yeah, for
Like,
sure.
no, he's gonna
So
grind it out.
yeah, pause. Um, but yeah, man. So that's that on that. What's your favorite Denzel? If y'all had to pick one.
Uh,
I'm
to
gonna
me,
defer to you, John.
it's Training Day, but I'll say my guilty pleasure is John Q, because John Q. That was the
Okay.
first movie. That's the first movie I actually cried to, and like I remember I was in South Georgia in like a trailer at my grandma's house, and like we were watching it, and I don't even know why I was crying, but like it was something about that film that I connected to that made me like I don't know about it. I don't know. I got a pretty good heart, but whatever. But like I remember being emotionally attached to that film. But Training Day to me is just spectacular. What when you talk about Quincy Jones and Denzel Washington, like Quincy Jones passing and then you know Denzel Washington leaving, I don't want to deter the conversation too much, but like to me, I get sad because obviously we're losing like black art, but like what makes me sadder is that like like I feel like there are no replacements. You know what I mean? Like I feel like it's gonna just be this empty vessel of just like the highest quality art with like we don't know who the predecessors are. Like we don't know who's the next Denzel Washington. Like who's the next Quincy Jones. And like that gets me more sadder than them passing because like nobody has a torch. By any means, like both industries are dying. You know what I mean? So it's like not to get us
Yeah.
sad because I want to celebrate their lives, but like what the hell is about to happen?
Yeah, I also don't think it's built for that level of like length of careers. Like I know they were talking to Luca about like, and this is obviously a different sport, but like playing as long as LeBron. He's like, I'm not gonna play that long. You know, like Tyreek Hill, he's like announced like this is my last contract, and he's like, and he's gonna be in his mid-30s. He's like, I want to do other shit. Like I don't just want to my whole identity to just be football. And so I think now, like that's probably mostly about it, probably a lot of it too. It's like you're not going to see careers that last probably more than 30 years anymore, just because people want to do other shit.
Yeah.
So then they put that out.
Well, I do think it's something to that too, because it's I feel like because there's so much out there. I mean, you can work for Amazon, you know, you can work for Netflix, you can work for you know, Paramount. There's so many places to make for lack of better words, content. And that's kind of what it all gets boiled down to at this point is content and not necessarily like people ain't setting their lives to none of this stuff for real no more. Whereas like before, you was sitting in front of the TV to make sure you caught Fresh Prince or make sure you caught Sanford and Son or make sure you caught like these shows. Like anytime a new Mike album drop, even Prince, like anytime you have moments like that, that was a moment. I'm thinking about even when I was growing up and how if Rick Ross dropped, that was what you was hearing, you know, on your walk. Like we walked to 7-Eleven or whatever, you know, that's what you would hear coming out of the cars for that whole week. You know what I'm saying? Or ever since that release. And that's kind of the thing that because everything is becoming like streamlined into content, because all these operators, it does make it a little bit harder to kind of have a center. And then when we do get him, something happens. So like we look at Chadwick, and he was rearing up to be like that next Denzel figure of like, bro, he got everything. You know what I'm saying? He's just an overall good guy, good roles, great actor, has a heart to produce and put other people on, and he you know, he ain't here no more. So it's kind of like who we got. We got Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan. It's like, do we really want it? Like, you know, like I don't mind seeing the vampire movie, but like,
It's a vampire movie.
do I really want to see this 1930s vampire movie right now? Like, do I want to see that now? And it's like, eh.
Oh
So,
yeah, and then you talk about people taking from you. I guess John Majors would be on there too.
Yeah.
yeah, and then
He
we
was
have
gearing
that
up.
element of it where that's the other element that maybe will kind of touch lightly is like niggas can't not be like niggas get canceled. So like, you know, Quincy Jones went on a rant. He went on a tour where he was just being old and telling shit. And he went on that fucking tour ranting and telling business that he wasn't supposed to tell until his kids told him to stop. You can't do that no more because we all know like what's going on. So it ain't gonna be no hidden behind the scenes stories that come out 50 years from now that are like, you know, oh, that's kind of wild that like, oh, so-and-so was a wild boy. He was doing X, Y, and Z. Now, you know, because everything is kind of rampant, we kind of have a hyper focus on getting, you know, people that look like they might be doing up to no good out the way. And sometimes we kind of catch the wrong folks. And the pendulum swings a little bit too hard on it. So
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe not necessarily the wrong folks, but like in hindsight, you'd be like, it wasn't that deep. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like we probably could have let that one go. You feel me? We didn't have to. I understand why people want to. At this point, we overcorrected, and sometimes you overcorrect, and like you know what happens when you overcorrect in a car. Like you overcorrect in a car, you gonna roll that bitch. So like, if we just gonna keep overcorrecting, some people is gonna get caught up in in the crosshairs that maybe we could have let slide. I will say, dude, back to kind of the question you asked about a favorite Denzel movie. Man on Fire is my favorite.
Ooh.
I like I like just killing, like just him being. I like when he be tapping into just aggressive, like I don't give a fuck, and then like ultimately like trading his life for the little girl, like was like, oh, this is the realest nigga ever walking. He put that bomb in that nigga and tied him to the front of the car and blew that nigga up. He thought he was finna live, and he just walked away and let him blow up. And I was like, this nigga cold. This nigga is cold.
Yeah.
He ripping this whole country up about this little girl.
And he got moments like that. That Equalizer 2. Equalizer 2 was another one where I was like, oh, this nigga.
Yeah, he was going crazy in there.
This nigga. Shit. Okay. Yeah. Book of Eli was fire too. He got some dope action movies. I think that's the thing that we kind of miss with movie stars now. Is like they don't do everything. That nigga do everything, bro. Like everything. The motherfucker got Shakespeare stuff. He got just regular Mark Wahlberg like action movies where it's just like stupidity.
Goofy.
He got the
irreverent.
The deep cut where it's like more drama than action movies. Yeah, he got the blockbuster joints like you said, Book of Eli. We got Remember the Titan. Like it's just like he touched everything.
Jesus
and that's kind of what he said his reason for retiring is that he's like kind of did it all already. So I'm sad to see him go, but it's like once again also I'm happy to see somebody get to ride off into the sunset. And his kids are like taking off as well. The piano lesson is his son Malcolm's directorial debut. It's like I know this nigga said that his son did shit, the other son was doing shit, but nigga a Netflix movie director, like, all right, cool, awesome. So yeah, he out here. Speaking of famous kids, what you say?
No, I was gonna say
Oh
a
yeah,
comment
speaking of
about the Spike Lee joint.
oh yeah, go ahead.
Oh, can I say it? Oh, okay. I
Yeah,
think
for
that's
sure,
gonna
for
be
sure.
the best one out of the final joints. I think they make magic. I think this is about to be like some. You remember when Kobe scored 60?
Yeah, and then Snoop Dogg is in.
Yeah, I think Kobe about to score
Yeah.
60 right there with that the Spike Lee joint.
I mean, I wouldn't
By
be
the way,
surprised.
that reminds me, Inside Man, because Spike Lee
Another Spike
directed
Lee
that
joint.
movie.
Very good movie.
That
Yeah.
is my second favorite one. That movie really made me be like, no, we could rob a bank. Like we could definitely do this shit.
Yeah. Yeah, and then they got a good twist in it and everything. Like it's like this shit, all right.
Jodie Foster was in there,
He got
Chiwetel. I'm
a
like,
so of the Spike
Just
Lee
started.
joint, like you can have a top 5 of like Spike Lee joint. Hey, he got Game, Mo Better Blues. What was it? It wasn't She's Gotta. It's not She's Gotta Have It, is it?
was he in
The
there?
OG one? No, he wasn't in the OG one. But yeah, so you got Mo Better Blues, Malcolm X,
Said he got
what was
game.
the one I just said? He Got Game, Inside Man, and Now the Highs and the Lows, which is a Kurosawa remake. So that is actually the original is on HBO Max in the original Japanese audio, if you guys are interested. So yeah, that might be the one, bro. Might be. It's already a classic. So I don't know. But yeah, speaking of Nepo babies, Bronny got booted to the G League. And then he proceeded to he looked like a G League player. But the tickets went up to like $179.
For the South Bay Lakers?
It was $180 for his debut. He won't travel. He'll be like a home G League player. He won't travel with the team to away games. Is there anything to that, or is it just like, man, it's a part of the process? He's not. He is like their rookie talent, so of course he wouldn't necessarily play in all the G League games.
Why isn't he traveling with the South Bay Lakers?
Who finna tell LeBron kid he gotta ride commercial?
Talk about it.
Bro, this is getting kind of crazy. This is getting kind of crazy.
I mean, that's
Yo,
what it boiled down to. Honestly, it's like, all right, cool. He making 8 M's. He could probably charter the flights himself if he wanted to.
there's no way the team likes him.
Yeah, I think it is doing. I think that move in itself is probably gonna do a disservice to him, because it's like, no, you kind of need to like stay in these shitty hotels, and it's still
You're
not,
a
like,
G leaguer.
we're
You
talking
need
about
to earn your stripes.
the shitty hotels is still like pretty good hotel, right? Like it's shitty in comparison to maybe what the actual
What
Lakers are
he's used
staying
to.
in, but like it's still like, you're not. It's not a La Quinta, like, like you're
You gotta
okay.
cut your fucking teeth, dog. Like, you gotta cut your teeth. Like, everybody has to go down to Durham before they come to the Rays.
That's hilarious.
Everybody's gotta do it. Like, you gotta do it. Like, if you're not on the roster, you gotta play. And I don't really see how this helps his development if he's gonna play half the games. It's like,
Yeah,
the fuck?
yeah. It's one of those. It's one of those moments where you're like, all right, now, like you gotta start making this look less obvious, nigga. Like, come on, now, help us out. I'm arguing for you. You gotta do a little bit of the work, nigga.
I don't know, bro. He's got
Pop
to.
the titty. Pop it
Out his
out.
mouth
Like,
and stop babying him.
yeah, like, come on, what are we doing? Like,
Yeah.
play ball, man. Like, I be bad when I be playing with my little brothers. And I'd be like, bro, let's play basketball, man. Like, all this other goofy shit that y'all be doing, these triple step backs and launching it from, are we gonna play basketball, or are we just gonna fuck around? Like, that's why I feel like it's getting to a point where it's like, bro, are we gonna play ball? Like, let's play
Yeah.
ball.
I think that he
What
would.
you about to say, John? I might have cut
Yeah,
you
go
off.
ahead.
No. I think you make a good point. I guess to be the other side is like he's got an image to maintain, and I think like everyone else on the G League roster doesn't have that same image, and I think you got to be very careful about his image, because his image is connected directly to his performance, and like he's already scrutinized for not being great, which by all means he's not going to be great. And to your point, he's got to play ball to get better at ball, but also it's getting to a point where he can't afford to have bad games because his image is so inflated. Like I read somewhere, I don't know if this is true, but I read that the Lakers sold like $100 million worth of his jersey already. And
But that might be a little, that'd be nuts.
you know,
Yeah, that James
let's
Jr. though,
let's
bro.
call it
James
50.
Jr. on the back, bro.
So it's like you can't there's this balance of business versus to being better. And it's like I can't roll my next star out and have another 6 points, 5 turnovers, 4 rebounds, 3. I can't have him have that stat line again. So does that mean I sacrifice
Yeah.
the relationship between the rest of the G Leaguers? Maybe, because I need his jersey to sell.
They
So I think there's a lot of
They
things
went on
at
Team
play.
Noah.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of really interesting things at play. And I think he's probably back with the Lakers by the end of this year for sure. For sure. He
Yeah.
playing another game with LeBron. But does that hurt his
For
development?
sure.
Because that was the
I was
conversation
just-
that Pat and I were having.
Go ahead, Bronx.
No, that's it.
So
That's the
what's the
question. Does it hurt
rookie
his
that
development?
was? What look hurt his development?
No, does him not playing in the G League, does that hurt his development? Does the Lakers coddling him, does that hurt his basketball development?
Him not playing, period, whether that's in school, because the only way you can really get better at basketball, like you could take all the mental reps that you want, but like you're gonna have to touch the floor, and like you have to learn
Gotta grab them
the
balls.
team, and you also have to like learn how you play with the team. Like you gotta learn, and he's just not like. I heard them. What's them niggas on Gil's Arena? They was talking about whether or not even playing him in the G would be purposeful at all. Whereas like he probably should be on the NBA roster, but like they trying to win right now. Like right now it's
This season.
the NBA Cup. So like we can't be trying to teach motherfuckers how to play basketball while we like actually trying to jockey for positioning. What I was gonna say actually, the dude Quincy Olivari, the
Yeah.
one that went off in the last preseason game. So you remember we were talking about the draft position. Now everybody was just like, that shit don't matter or whatever.
Mhm.
He's a two-way player, but I don't think his deal is quite in the same way as Bronny's. And
No,
like,
not at all.
but here's the thing though. I'm trying to see where he got drafted. He went undrafted. And so when we talk about like the deeper conversation of like nepotism and like black nepotism, like who knows where this guy gets drafted? Like maybe he's still undrafted, but it's kind of hard to not compare them both when they're both on the same team, and the undrafted player is cooking, and the dude that has an $8 million contract doesn't even play road games in the G. And it's like, it sounds like his money, like, oh, Quincy probably should have that switch because they could probably use him at on the actual Laker roster, but he in the G too. So, but he cooking and he don't got no deal like Bronny deal. So it's like,
Yeah,
hey,
hey.
But Quincy can't
I
sell a
mean, points were
jersey,
made.
bitch.
Yeah.
yeah, hey,
Yeah. Yeah, that's
yeah, you're
that's what
right.
I'm saying.
Yeah, but
Hey,
my
that's
case, say,
they green
hey,
light movies based off merch sales, be like, hey, if you can't sell no toys, but it ain't happening. Oh, oh, hey, that nigga better get an action figure made, but so uh
yeah,
so
that's tough. That's tough. That's tough.
be like that. So then
Hey.
I guess we get actually another topic. As
Yeah,
before we get into like trying to chit chat with John about something, we got one more, right? And this one is kind of like, I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's kind of might be a little bit too deep into like Gooner Twitter.
okay.
How nasty is too nasty, right? Miss B Nasty has been catching some hell. Women in
Gooner
general have
Why do
just been
they?
having a
Why do
rough.
they hate her? Why do they hate her?
I ain't gonna hold you. After seeing this one, I was like, oh, yeah, yeah. Women in general have been catching hell on Twitter, right? They have been, their L's have been huge, massive. You got Haley, talking about DDG putting the baby on the stream and then deleting it and then being like, maybe I did overreact and woody woo. Man, you got the ladies posting their BMs and having just like hey, everybody roast my BM, and then posting a picture of these random niggas, and this ain't even my BM, this my deadbeat ass daddy. Like, the hell is going on? Like just wilding, right? And then Miss B Nasty comes out and she's talking about like how, you know, she got into it after her husband at the time was cheating on her, and it was kind of like getting back at him. And then she revealed that like, she can't do certain things, or she posted her brother and it kind of made things hot for him because it's like, your brother's, your sister is out here like wilding out. But the moment that
We see her
everybody's asking
movies.
of like, hey, Shannon Sharp seen him for sure. But the moment
Yeah.
that I'm asking about specifically is like, now she's under fire again, and we're kind of just like, man, we should kind of have a conversation about sex work and all this shit. So all this shit. There's a scene in which she's doing her thing or whatever, and
Mhm.
she's
She's flexible.
yeah,
The
and
word you're looking for squirting.
yeah, yeah. Like a
It's
phone,
right on the
I
tongue.
like a phone a friend. Survey says squirting is on the board.
Ding! We asked 100 voters.
Yeah. So for sure, she's doing her thing, showing off the waterworks, and she pops out a butt plug and puts it in her mouth. She shows the butt plug to the camera, like,
Like, wait, so like it was in and she
it
popped it
was
out,
in.
or did like
It
she
was
put?
she was
Okay,
plugged. She was, yeah. It was like it was a cap over it, and she popped it out
nice.
and showed the camera, and then put it in her mouth. Right? I don't know about you guys. I've seen these type. I ain't panic. I've been here before. I've seen this type of shit before. Not really.
Yeah.
It's the type of thing that disgusts me after I'm done. But in the moment, I'm like, it's kind of help me out. But in this scenario, there was a little bit of booty juice on the plug. There was a little bit of residue on the plug. There was a stripe, if you will, of poop. There was shit on the butt plug, man. And she showed it to the camera,
Really?
and there's just like a fine, very well lit, defined stripe of brown
So she was
glistening.
trying to show that.
So that's what everybody's saying. They're like, bitch, stop acting like you ain't know what the hell you were doing. Because now she's like, oh, well, I didn't know until, I did it and woody woody woo. And it was, by that time, it's kind of too late. I'm on the stream. I still got to do my job. It happens. And I'm sure it does, right? How could it not?
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
maybe we should take a step back, right? Like, it's one thing when like, little air gets in there, starts queefing. We're all adults, uh, but you putting your own doo-doo in your mouth, it's kind of like, I feel like that might be a little too far. A little too far. But I don't want to be a prude, so I like, now I'm in the, like, I'm more conservative on the eating your own shit thing, right? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I think you should
That's
be
where you
able,
draw the
I think
line.
you should be able to, but like, we should start talking about like, hey, are we too horny? Like, why we make this woman do this?
Is it? I'm gonna tell you something that I had a conversation with a buddy when I was in New York about a month ago, and this is how my mind worked, guys. So there's like two shows I was watching at the time, and it was it was Aaron Hernandez with FX, and it was the Menendez brothers, right? And like the big theme in both of these shows is that they was gay. Like that was like there was a lot of gay shit happening. And look, that's fine. But you look at the time, right? Aaron Hernandez is like early 2000s. The Menendez brothers, that's like the 80s, 90s, right? They've been trying to make us feel like gay shit was like to them, but really, I just keep seeing the line pushed back. Like, 2000s, we was really using the F word still, and they was being gay. He was meeting up with niggas, putting the motorcycle helmet on, meeting up with randos at bars, doing what they do. Menendez brothers, that's 80s. When they was telling us this gay shit was, whatever. They was openly doing it then. Then you find out, like, what was it? JFK had a boyfriend in high school type shit, like
Damn.
40s, 50s. You know what I'm saying? You push it back. And so then they say, Menendez's dad was like, hey, man, this is what goddamn Romans was doing. So I'm like, oh, shit. The Romans was just fucking everybody. I said all that to say that shit ain't never left, man. They been playing with the poop, bro. They been horny. They just showing it on camera now. Like that's all my brain is thinking. Like when you think that this was new, this was not new. Go look at some porn in the 80s. They probably was doing all that. They had to get the shock out there. Like, we finally be able to put this shit on camera. We about to go crazy with it. So, are we too horny? Yes, we are. But this
We
ain't
always
new.
have been.
We've always been horny.
We
Yeah.
always been this horny. They said the Romans was just fucking everybody. So I'm like, oh, that sounds dope. Like, we're not putting restrictions on, everything is fluid. We just having fun. It's my homie. We eat pizza together. We drink together. And hey, y'all
The
kick
creator
it how
said
y'all kick
something
it.
similar. He was talking about like Gerard Carmichael. He was like, yeah, or Gerard Carmichael was talking about Tyler the Creator. He was like, yeah, we'll play Call of Duty, get some wings, and then, and it was, and yeah, I guess so. My mind like now, especially with the theme of like Miss B Nastyy doing the boo boo. It like I'm just sticking like just sanitation wise, like like
Why was the piss not the drawing line? Why was that not the line for people?
I think
Because she a
when
woman,
we
bro.
found out that it was pee. Oh,
I think
Her
it's because
car
she a
is
woman, bro.
pissed out.
Yeah. I think we had this like false sense of what a woman's supposed to be. So when we see a woman eat her own poop,
There's that.
we are like disappointed. But like when we hear that the Romans are just like fucking each other and having fun and like killing niggas too, like, oh, cool, it's just a Roman. Like I really think it's just because she a woman. You know what I mean? And like I hate to sound like that guy because I think that's kind of corny, but I think it's true. Listen, I don't.
I mean,
Yeah, I
if you
mean,
think about it,
she's too pretty to eat poop.
well, that too it was like a poopsicle, low key. But when you think
Like,
about
she's
it, I
really
guess,
pretty. Like, when you see her regular pictures, you're like,
Yeah,
hey,
it's true. Gorgeous.
I've seen things that
yeah,
I probably shouldn't have seen, but you
I
are
tend to
actually really pretty.
I do tend to take it down a notch when it comes to like pretty porn stars. I do I certain things I just won't watch because I feel like you're not supposed to be doing this.
Oh, you better than me.
Yeah, like I have my moments sometimes where I'll be like, ooh, but like I
No,
feel
no,
more
no, no,
when
no.
when a person is too pretty. When a person is pretty, I feel more like the nigga in the strip club is like, you don't gotta do this. It's like, I know it's an office job waiting for you, and a nigga that work at UPS is just waiting to drop flowers off for you. You don't have to be out here wilding out. But when it comes to the
No, I
Romans,
want to see
yeah,
you
they was
kick puppies.
yeah,
I don't
Kick
think so,
puppies.
bro.
Like, that's what I want the porn star to be like. Oh, kick a puppy. Like, that's my code name with another buddy. Like, you know how motherfuckers, like, he'd be like, oh, it's so pretty, you just want to eat it and beat it, all this other shit. The prettier you are, we gotta see this get pretty
yeah.
aggressive.
I'd be like, man, no, don't do it. Don't do it. I seen
It
one dude
it
put his foot on the lady head. I was like, no.
only if they black though.
So
Only if
you
they
got like
black though. If they black, I don't want to see that.
Nah,
well, you want to
I'm gonna
keep
leave it alone.
you want to keep
I'm gonna leave the romance.
so Pat, you want to
Nah, I'm
keep
gonna leave it.
Rapunzel in the tower, and you don't want nobody to touch Rapunzel.
Yeah,
But
yeah. I don't like. I
no,
know.
I
I
think
know. Rapunzel's getting touched.
Sam,
Ain't that bitch down here? Like Plot. Ain't that bitch down here?
No, I'm gonna wrap it around, bro, and yeah. What you got all that hair for? Like, what
Yeah.
supposed to do with this?
How
There's
could
only
I
one
not?
thing I can think about.
How could
Gotta
I
wrap this
not?
around my arm and get a good grip.
the dichotomy of gooners.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm conservative gooner. Man. It's strictly around like prettiness too. I'd be like, nah, bro, you too pretty. You too pretty for this lifestyle. Something wrong with you. Something not right. I can't watch this. I don't want to support this. But yeah, no. So I guess that's it, man. There has been a wave of like sex workers talking about their inability to do family functions and shit. But that's part of the game. I was at like me and my now wife then girlfriend were at like an event like Candytopia or something like that, and me and this lady kept looking at each other. Kept like I saw her and like she was with her like probably her little brother, and I looked at her, and it was kind of like one of the moments where I was like, "Know you from somewhere," and she was like she was looking at me, and I thought that her looking at me was like confirmation that yeah we know each other.
That we know each other. That's
No,
I start panicking.
not at all.
Start
Right.
panicking
So
like,
I'm
oh,
just
they know
like,
me, I don't know them.
yeah, literally. So I'm like, dang, like maybe parties in Tampa, maybe something. I don't know. Like I guess we know each other, whatever. And then it clicks, and I'm like, no, she doesn't know me. She's hoping I don't blow up her spot. Like, like, she's like, nigga, don't ask for an autograph right now. I I didn't know until later on, and I was browsing, and I was like, oh, it's the Leonardo DiCaprio joint. Like, yeah, how was you? And it's like, oh, that's why she was looking at me like, man, come on, dog. Come on, man. I'm with my brother, man. I'm with my family, man. Don't ask me right now. And I was like, oh, okay. I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to make you uncomfortable. I just knew I knew you from something. And that's the life that they live. It's the life they chose. But I ain't mad at it.
That actually made me think. I don't think that's any different from like, not any different. It's obviously a little bit different, but it's like if you have some other unsavory job, like a politician or something, like, hey man, we seen how you voted on some shit and we seen how you talk. And I would imagine some circles, it's probably strange for them to come back around. I don't know how much of it they give a fuck about, but it's like, hey man, or shit, Drake got a scarlet letter right now. He kind of has to be outside. Like, he just, that's his job. You kind of got
Yeah,
to
but
do it. So, I mean, I think obviously that's different, but
similarly, Drake will just wind up in Chuck E. Cheese doing the DJ set, and the politician will fucking go to Impa Mamas and vote against immigration. It's like, what the fuck are y'all doing? Like, but it's just, hey, if you out here busting it open, you know what I'm saying? Just know there's a random nigga at Candytopia who know you. I seen your
oh,
old
that's
lady.
like one of them ladies that be doing, engages in such activities. She's actually from the city.
Oh, we got a few
And
of them
so
in town. Yeah, a few
yeah,
of them down.
and they be out because I be seeing their pictures, and I'm like, I know where that's at. I've been there plenty of times. I could have crossed paths. So yeah, they be at the games and shit. They be posted up at the Bucks game. Like, oh, okay. How come I ain't never see you at the Bucks game? I'll be there.
Man, why you avoid? What's going on? What you want to see? You want to see me? You want to see top supporter?
There's a video of the dude's just staring at a Bella Danger sitting courtside, and that's like,
Yeah, I
okay.
mean, it's probably similar to the lady that was like, "Hey, you see LeBron locking eyes with me?" Like, oh my God, LeBron kept looking at me. LeBron kept looking at me. Ain't nobody looking at your ass. Just relax. For them black trucks show up.
This is by far the funniest
So
conversation I've had in a very long time. I'm sorry.
well,
Y'all
it's
are lit.
about to get unfunny, nigga.
Ish.
So we're a week out, man. Trump's been president elect for a week. Uh, they have been performing like an autopsy on what lost Kamala Harris the presidency, or what lost her the election. One of the main things that they talk about is that the genius of the GOP, they have basically created their own media apparatus. It started from making you distrust, news with fake news, telling you that everything was, which is crazy to me because, Fox News was the one that ended up getting sued and admittingly being fake news. But they kind of created their own apparatus around podcasts, YouTube shows, and other just like online shit. Then Elon Musk buys Twitter with money from Russia, apparently, and kind of just takes off all the safety features of Twitter, to where now you can't even block nobody no more. or the block
Really?
is you can block people, but it's rendered like they can still see everything. Um, they just can't maybe reply to you, but they can still like quote tweet, but you won't get a notification. Like it's like shit like that where it's very basic. Uh, it's not essentially a block. Like this person still knows that you out here talking shit. Whatever. So yeah, they built their apparatus. On the podcast front, it's you know uh Andrew Schultz, Joe Rogan, Theo Vaughn. On the news side, you got Tucker Carlson leaving Fox and then just doubling down and making his YouTube show on Elon Musk's Twitter. So that's kind of one of the main things that they said kind of like threw it off. But I wonder, like, I guess it begs the question because when you look at the people that they have now been championing as you know, the leaders for discourse and that are kind of shaping the minds of impressionable Americans and people that maybe don't do so much, reading articles or whatever, that get all the information off, the internet, basically, Twitter, Facebook, just social media in general. Most of it is coming from comedians, like Joe Rogan. It's like Joe Rogan turns out to be, I don't think so, but right now he's being touted as like, that's the one. That's the big get for the Republicans that could have swung you either way. Kamala refused to talk to him, and her refusal to speak to him kind of cuts her out of being heard by that audience. But what say you, John? Like, I have, my thoughts on the role of maybe, I think everything should be okay. I think we should probably be able to talk about everything. I think it's a line between speaking on a topic and just being a comedian, and then actually being like a political correspondent, if you will. But maybe not to lead you too much, but like, what? How do you feel about that? Like, is there a role for comedy in politics? Like, should we be weighing it this much?
Yeah, I think the truth is, um, we've had this conversation for years now in terms of like businesses. I look at comedians as their like independent contractors, right? That's kind of the role that they play in like um the economy. Um, and I think every business, if it's a LLC, if it's a multinational company, if it's a independent contractor, I think you have some sort of social responsibility. And I think right now it behooves people to relinquish that social responsibility. But I think we have that social responsibility. I think we can see a clear change in terms of um comedians seeing something that is becoming a real industry, like the alt-right um blue red pill, this very dangerous dystopian men first kind of industry. And I think comedians just jumped on it because it was a wave. But I do think when it comes to politics and like leading our people and people being, folks listening to you and really investing in what they're hearing, I think we do have a social responsibility, and I think they abuse that one. You could tell they abused it because somebody like Andrew Schultz, when they're doing the presidential election recap, he's wearing like Captain America gear and like a flag and like as a cape. You know what I mean? He's clearly saying like this isn't that serious to me because it really doesn't affect me. Same thing with Joe Rogan, is you can start to see his interviews become more um rightish. I guess I don't know the good word for it. Slowly, because there's money behind that. So I think it's disappointing for me, and to me it signals a very, very dangerous place that comedy is going to go to. I'm a comedian. I can only speak from the comedy perspective. I've been watching Kill Tony for like a year now, and even Kill Tony's approach to comedy, where it's like not witty anymore, it's just kind of blatantly racist. is trickling down to the open mics that I go to just watch people who want to start comedy. When they start comedy, they're starting out being racist. They're starting out being homophobic. They're making rape jokes. So it's like we're in this really, really dangerous place where the comedians don't know that they have social responsibility or don't even care. And then that's trickling down to the people that are voting for these people that don't give a fuck. So all in all, good luck to them, bro. I don't really know what to do. I don't know what to do. Good luck.
Yeah. That no, that's real. Because
Did
I
I
mean, the
answer your
thing
question?
is,
I'm sorry.
how I always no, absolutely. How I tie all this stuff in, actually, I think that we kind of feel like comedians lead the charge. This recent wave of everything, comedians have been at the forefront. When we talk about maybe, I'd say that things kind of started off with, the Trayvon Martin situation, right? That's when black people kind of got like a shock to the system and a wake up call. There was no need to like have any like comedy special about that. That kind of was just tragic, and there was nothing to talk about, right?
What? Mhm.
But the Me Too movement, and they kind of spark it. They talk about it in reference to like Harvey Weinstein, but the first person that popped that off was Hannibal Buress talking about Bill Cosby,
Bill Cosby. Yeah.
and he even talks about it as just like, I was up there doing my set, like I was just up there telling jokes, and it's tough because that snowballed into like this hyper awareness and hypersensitivity to the fact that women are getting taken advantage of, in Hollywood. And we saw the fallout from that. And I would say before this election, it was a net positive. I still think it is, but at the end of the day, you know, the reason I'm bringing that up is because we see that start from a lens of a comedian just telling jokes, and
Yeah, but like
the
comedians
ramifications
aren't
of that
thought
have
leaders. Like comedians aren't thought leaders. And I
bingo.
think that's might be
They,
the line.
but they think they are,
Well, that's because they're empowered by like the podcasting and like having a platform.
of
So
course.
the platform empowers you. That's why Andrew Schultz thinks he's a thought leader, because he has a popular podcast. Where like we're not following you because we like your thoughts. We like your jokes about things that have happened. We don't want you to forecast like life for us. We want you to just joke about things that happened in the past. Right? Because that's what comedy is, like telling stories about things that happened in the past and just making it funny. We don't look for you to, like, you're not a fortune teller. Like, we're not looking for you to tell us our future. And I think that's maybe the line that's crossed now. Like, why are we looking for comedians to be the thought leaders? Is it because we don't have any other thought leaders?
I think I know what it is. I think it just clicked for me. I think, and this is obviously nothing against comedians, but like if you can have an alternate uh viewpoint on a very insignificant, you know, experience that somebody else wouldn't be able to articulate, it sounds smart to dumb motherfuckers. Like that sounds smart. And then a lot of times it's not as smart. It's just, hey, if you spend a little bit more time thinking about it, you will probably find the funny, and you'll probably find something that you could connect this to. I think that's like a lot of times what Dave is so good at. And when you can do this better than everyone else, which a lot of times are comedians, then you just inevitably look smarter than most people, and you're the smartest guy in the room. And not to say that they're not smart, because there's obviously some intellect there to be able to connect and find the funny out of like everyday situations that may not necessarily be funny. But when you start smelling yourself because people are following you, because people keep calling you smart, because you're connecting and making jokes out of something, then yeah, you'll probably start feeling it. But I also say, like, hey, if we don't ever get serious about anything, then it's shit's all jokes. And to me, that's like lack of intellect, because if you just making a joke on everything and no one's actually making you answer a real question without just defaulting to the funny, it might be a lack of intellect there because you don't actually know what the fuck you're talking about. You're just finding the funny. And so at that point now it's like, my the currency is the laugh. And so you do whatever it takes to get the laugh. And now the bar is in hell because you can just be racist. And people are like, yeah, there are times where I feel like this person shouldn't be able to do this, but I can't say it, but I'll let the smart guy say it. And because I think the same way the smart guy thinks, we obviously are all smart without actually picking up a book or using any type of critical thinking or anything like that. And so, yeah, I could see where you probably feel smarter listening to Dave Chappelle, or you might feel smarter listening to Andrew Schultz because they talk really well. Let's get you outside of the stage and let's talk. Let Andrew talk to somebody he's not smarter than. It may not look quite the same way, but he always talking to fucking Charlemagne. And not to say Charlemagne's not smart or he's talking to Akash. It's like, hey, man, them niggas
Yeah.
ain't smarter than you.
Or they're friends and have
Sit
no
him down with
reason.
Mark and let's see how it looks.
They have no reason to challenge you. Essentially,
Well,
y'all
it doesn't
homies. I'm not
behoove
finna
them to
embarrass
challenge
my
you either.
friend. Yeah,
The truth is the
especially
Exactly.
not
We're
engagement.
homies
Akash.
and
Well, the truth is the engagement too, right? Like I don't have a reason to challenge you because what you're saying is getting clicks too. You got to remember that at the end of
for
the
sure.
day, they don't care.
The
I think also,
currency.
bingo, they don't care about what's being said as long as people are reacting to it. Skip Bayless, you can make a real case. I'm making a joke right now, but you can make a real case that like Skip Bayless may have ruined like real conversation because like his whole thing was
It's not a joke.
No,
It
I
is
yeah,
that.
know. Yeah,
Him
we
and
think that.
Stephen A are the ones that ruined it. Him and
yeah.
Dan Lepertard says it all the time. Dan Lepertard says it all the time.
Yeah, no,
Shit. And
we're
my phone at
definitely of that
1%.
mind
Hold on,
for
y'all boys.
sure.
Oh, you
Okay.
good. Yeah, I was gonna say
Um,
Dan typically says when it comes to that, like, because Dan does smart conversation. Like Mina does smart stuff. Pablo does smart stuff. Amani does smart stuff. All these guys do smart talk, but like, you know what Skip beyond, you know what Stephen A beyond. It's like I will be the opposite
no matter.
because that's what makes good TV. I
Yeah.
remember being in fourth grade and a teacher told me because you had to do the FCAT rights, and she was like, "Hey, have you ever tried writing from the other point of view?" And at 9 years old, that didn't make any sense to me.
Mhm.
Like, why would I write about something I don't know about? Like, or I'm sorry, that I don't agree with. It's like you might have more to say about the things that you don't agree with. And so she told me to. She said, take the prompt and take both sides and take a list and write down all the things that you could talk about. And the list of the shit I hated was 3 times as long as the shit I agreed with. And I was like, oh, I probably should write about this. And that's what got me my 5.5.
No, that's real shit.
Writing about something I didn't actually agree with. And
That,
that's when it changed for me at 9 years old. Like, oh, huh,
but
that's
I
interesting.
think that's also like that's where you pretty much you talk about what Brody cut your teeth. That's kind of where you cut your teeth. It's kind of like, okay, let me think about how they think about this. And that's kind of where you need to be to affect change. That's kind of where you need to be to understand what other people are going through, like to be able to empathize. And that's kind of where comedy lives at. That's kind of where you find the gold in comedy is like being able to see things from multiple different perspectives and point out the funny part of all of it. Right. And I think for sure, one of the reasons that people think of comedians as thought leaders, is because of the George Carlins, the Dave Chappelle's, Richard Pryor's. They kind of had a point of view that seemed to cut through the bullshit and
Yeah.
cut through in a way that seems more Jon Stewart, cutting through in a way that just like it just makes sense politically. And maybe Chappelle kind of is like teetered off, um, as of late, which is still like there's cases to be made about all of that, and I feel like we're gonna get into them after we get done with this segment. But like, yeah, I think that's just what it is. It's like we talk about overcorrecting, and I think whether or not we did or not or didn't overcorrect for the ills and the isms and the phobias of the world, I don't feel like we overcorrect. They may feel like we overcorrected and they're in the majority, but that don't necessarily make it right. Like the things that we listen to these people complain about, even from a comedic standpoint, they're tired about I'm tired of having to like worry about offending XYZ. And even the infighting within comedians about what's appropriate to say, what's not appropriate to say, and what's funny and what's not funny. Like all of these things that are just like, what we're talking about is empathy. Consider this community before you say that. Before you tell that joke, consider what that might mean.
Yo,
But I think it is comical for the same comedians that tell you that it's just comedy and that it's just jokes and that they should be able to say whatever they want to say because they're comedians. Now, how and wear as a badge of honor that they tilted the scales of the election. When the whole time you're telling people to be a little bit more considerate about handicapped people, be a little bit more considerate about gay people, be a little bit more considerate about women, Black people, and other marginalized communities. Be a little bit more considerate when you tell these jokes. And they say, well, I'm not here, to influence how people think about the world. Like, I'm just telling jokes. Here we are, like, with this election, and that it's not the reason, but it's a very strong, like I've seen this several times where people lay this at the feet of her not going on Joe Rogan. And it's like now Charlemagne and Andrew Schultz both had interviews with the respective candidates, right? Charlemagne ain't a comedian, but he's funny, and people say he should be a comedian. Andrew Schultz is for sure a comedian, interviewed with the president. These are two very powerful people in the media who, Andrew Schultz refuses to accept responsibility unless it benefits him. And it's just like that's the main thing of the issue, because you can't get them to commit to being responsible for their act and being responsible for how they decide to shape these people's minds, because that's exactly what they're doing. But they take credit when it goes the way they want it to go. And it's just like
That's why it's annoying. That's why it's annoying, because it's just like it's just that it's the same as we look at fake activism. It's like, yo, or I mean, we've had the Kendrick conversation ad nauseum, where it's like, hey man, you get all the benefits of being like the number one guy without any of the pushback, without having to answer any questions, without actually having to respond to shit. But then also get the benefit of the doubt from fans, where it's like, hey, all I gotta say is I'm not this, even though I'm doing everything that shows that I kind of am this.
Yeah.
And I also don't have to be better. I can just kind of operate in this space and make as much good music as I want until people decide to call you a fraud. And then at that point, then you respond, but he may never get that because most people aren't deep anyways. So the same way that they get their depth from comedians is the same way they may get their depth from musicians. And I tell everyone from that is like, hey man, just read a fucking book. Like, don't get me wrong. I think there's something to it, but they're the ones that tell us the medicines and the candy. Like, that's what they're telling us.
Right.
So how am I to believe that if it's some bullshit being paid out there, that now it's just like, yo, I don't know. I ain't know what I was doing when I had them on here. Like, no, you did. Like, you wanted medicine in the candy, and it all tastes like candy. It all looked like candy
Right.
until you actually bite into it, and it tastes like Robitussin. And then you're like, it's too late now. You already fucking bought it, and you consumed it.
And in this scenario, I won't even say, I say it's a poison apple, right? It's for sure medicine in the candy, but I say it's a poison apple, right? Because it's like, you thought it was an apple, you thought it was some shit that was sweet, and then now the whole country is like sick, and Like it's just frustrating.
Well, I would only say the poison apple works if, in fact, they knew exactly what they're doing. Like, obviously, some of them knew what they were
Okay,
doing.
okay,
Yeah,
fair.
because don't get me wrong. I think a lot of them know what they're doing. I think some of them are just fucking stupid. I think it's a lot of motherfuckers that's just dumb and they don't know what the fuck they really be doing. And I think they have an idea or they that detached where it's like, I'm playing it both sides. Look. And it's like, bro, we don't got to both sides everything. Like, if it's like
1000%,
some shit that we just don't agree with, it's okay to just be like, fuck that shit.
a
Like,
thousand.
Yeah, man. I would say that person's a coward. You know what I mean? Because I would rather like somebody completely stand on it and say these are my views, and like this is my background, and these are my views, and this is what I'm going to host. But to be like, I'm going to interview Donald Trump and then say my voice has no impact on elections, I just think it's cowardly. And like, I don't expect anybody.
so corny.
Like, yeah, I don't expect anything else from like these niggas because to be honest, they're not really funny. They don't really stand on anything, and I think they just, you know, perfect timing. I think, I'm talking specifically about Andrew Schultz here. I'm saying that he was the first person in comedy to start posting crowd work, and that's how he got famous.
And now we
So,
got crowd work.
right. So that's just perfect. There's something genius in that, right? Like, I'm not getting in the clubs. I'm not getting booked. I need to use the internet to my benefit. But there's nothing
Right.
like innovative. There's nothing like, there's no like
And
intellect
then,
that's being
and
used.
then also, if I could be wrong, and hold your thought, but you also as a comedian don't really want to give away the jokes.
100% right. Like comedians post crowd work because they don't want to burn their jokes because they don't write them. Right. So if I can find a way to promote myself, get engagement, get people to buy tickets to come see these jokes that I performed for 3 years, then I don't need to write any more jokes. I can just use these jokes that I have for 3 years. And I think we're in a very, I said it before and I'll say it again. I think we're in a very, very weird spot for comedy. I think the next like 5 years are going to be very, very ugly. And I can tell that because Netflix tipped their hat with that Joe Rogan special. There's no reason that Joe Rogan needs a special for comedy at all. He's a touring comic, but he's not like a comedian. He got a
Right.
special because of his popularity on a podcast. Period. And I think we're going to start seeing that. And that's disappointing. And to me, it's like, what do I do? Do I hold on to my morals and like try to make things that I think are funny, or do I just lean into that, get famous, and then get out of it? I don't know. Jay might be coming funny. I don't know.
We got more. We got. Hey, what you niggas gonna do? You can't get your president in office. What niggas gonna do to me? Nah, I mean that's real, man. That's real, and I think that's just that's the unfortunate part about a lot of this stuff is that once you start seeing it, it kind of just it leaves a bitter taste in your mouth, and you gotta like kind of figure out where you fall, because for sure, I say even with us on the pod, like the clips that go the most, our most viral clip, I believe, is the Passport Bros
Project
clip.
2025. Oh,
Well,
Passport Bros. Okay.
Project 2025 is like the second one, but that Passport Bros shit is the one that like took off, and we saw an immediate like spark, and then it got pulled down, of course, because niggas was upset, and reported it, and it's just like, okay, cool, we could make a living on the podcast off of shitting on niggas, right? Or we could educate niggas, or we could do a little bit of both. Which now that the fucking election is over, I'm glad to get back to shit on niggas.
Shit in the education.
Yeah,
Bro, there's a
hey, there you go.
I'm sorry.
Because
Chat. I gotta
that's
say
where
this
the
one
money
thing.
is, bro. Go ahead, for sure.
I was going to say this, bro. There is a real market, and I mean a real market for people being stupid. There's real
Come on,
money to
man.
be made. Like I'm
Come
telling
on,
you,
man.
from somebody that knows somebody that started a alpha male podcast in 2012 and is now a millionaire. There's a real market. 2012, 2016. There's a real. So it's like,
Yeah.
how do you get out of the hood?
Yeah.
How do you do it?
Because the thing is, if you are the comedian that doesn't tell a certain joke, then that certain crowd work video isn't available to you because I won't go there, right? If you are a podcaster who, won't traffic in certain, takes, that audience is now cut off to you because they want to see you do Battle of the Sexes, talk about splitting rent, and lean heavily towards against the women, or
Yeah.
when it comes to music, we've seen this conversation all the time when it comes to music. Don't nobody want to hear you rap about shit woody woody wood. They only want to hear about killing and you know what I'm saying? So like I see the ramifications of that now. In 2024, we see what it's like when people cater to the most baseline, when you cater to the lower chakras. You know what I'm saying? You don't really tap into that pineal gland like you're supposed to. You know,
Low
then
vibrational.
that low vibrational content, when you
Yeah.
make low vibrational content, that's when you get the most expansive reach. But when you actually try to educate people or make people laugh without, offending too many people gonna be offended. People going like, I don't care if I step on your toes on the pod if you out here like fucking up. I don't. Honestly, like
I
if you
don't.
like I don't. So in the same way, sometimes you just got to get these jokes. In the same way, me rapping about something is not necessarily like the same. It's not praising violence to rap about a violent situation or your past. There's all differences, and they win by skirting the line and making everything seem like it's the same thing, while also like just leaning heavily into that pot. And it's just like, all right, well, when you see the game, it's like the game is now not necessarily making the content. It's trying to figure out how to be successful with the content that you make or with the shit that you make because you don't want to lean into, people's worst demons. Like you just don't. I don't get no gratitude off of that. I want to be rich and like you said, niggas trying to make it out of the hood. I want to get money. I want to take care of my family and eat off podcasting, eat off like my creative endeavors. But at the same time, it's just a certain line I'm not finna cross. So then I'm assuming it's the same with comedy, and it's the same when we were making music. It was the same shit then. It was like,
Yeah.
certain shit I'm just not finna say on the record.
Comedy is experiencing the same thing that music experienced like 10 years ago. But not even 10 years ago. I mean, Jesus Christ, it's still happening now.
Yeah.
Where it's like, are we so? I don't know. I don't know. I go back and forth now because like a part of it, like, are we supposed to be looking for Andrew Schultz to be guiding us? Like, are we supposed to be looking at Joe Rogan to be guiding us? But nobody else is guiding us. I don't know, bro. This is
Yeah.
that's when I become a defeatist and I'm just like, good luck. Because it's sad. It's really, really sad.
By the way, that's exactly where I typically am with it. And that's why most of the time I'm just reading because I'm just like, there's no way this is all that's here. Like my podcasts are down to just two. Like I used to listen to a slew of shit and it's like, like the JBP where it's like, bruh, I can't in good conscience listen to this shit when y'all talking like how y'all talking. And then you can tell when podcasts like start looking at the metrics too much
Yeah.
and start looking at like certain parts of the podcast because then you will see them stay on a topic way too long. And it's like, oh, okay, you did some research that said that people listen to this podcast this much when you talk about this. So let's like shit on Melissa Ford. And it's like,
Yeah.
that's not what I was here for. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm like, this is not fun. This is, you guys are becoming caricatures of yourself. And that's when I had to turn the podcast off. Like it was authentic at one point, and then now y'all make too much money and y'all know better, and y'all still talking about the shit that y'all was talking about when y'all was trying to get out the hood. Y'all out the hood now. Y'all can actually do compelling stuff now.
But here's the truth: is the hood? Oh my God, Bronze, that's such a good point. But the truth is the hood so traumatic that you constantly feel like you're in the hood even when you get out?
Hey, you can take nigga out the hood, but you can't take the hood out of that nigga. You can't take the hood out of that nigga. Like you see, you hear Savannah talking to her kids sometimes. I'm like, man, y'all up a B. Like, why are you talking like that? You still talking? But it's like, hey, I spent half of my life here, and I spent the other half of my life here. This is still in me. I don't give a damn how much my nigga make.
And you know,
Like, I'm still making them sweep the floors and shit. Like,
to that point,
Yeah.
to that point though, because of the way that people do get out of the hood, and you know, if it happens too rapidly, there is no like all us on this podcast read and study and are into the craft and care about all this type of shit, right? Had we at 20, it's like
yeah,
I don't know if
it'll look a
What
little
I'm
different.
crying
It-
over
it-
Quincy Jones.
right. Like, I mean, exactly. It's just like one of those things like that. Certain knowledge just wouldn't be there because it wouldn't. My knowledge is in place of me studying how to make it. If I would have made it, probably would not have cared as much as woody woo. But
Also, you said
me,
too, like not only like having a daughter and being married to a black woman. I remember you saying like it's certain things that my wife is not gonna let me get away with. Like
and that's the thing.
I can't do these things.
But
Like
once
I gotta
again,
be
if
educated now.
had I popped, would I have, or let's say even if I did, would she, if we was bringing in money like that, would we still have the same moral compass?
Yeah.
Because a lot of our moral compass was formed out of grinding for these goals and being like, nah, this don't feel right. And that might be some of why, we're still working towards these things. Not saying that it won't happen, but I feel like when it does happen, we'll be a better uh class of celebrity. If that makes sense. Because we do care about the work that we put out. We do care about, the community that's going to be affected by it. We do care about the craft as well as the effects of our craft. You know what I'm saying? And that's just having to have that empathy is also some of the fucking problem though. Is because now I got empathy for niggas and be like, well, if I was that age, I don't know if I would have. It's like, man, nah, fuck all that shit. You niggas wrong. And that's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? So, John, you got a show coming up this weekend back at USF St. Pete, man. Tell us a little bit about it and let us know, where we can go to get tickets or how we can support you.
Yeah, man. I've been doing comedy for like 17 months now, something like that, 18 months now. And I have um a really interesting and really cool opportunity to headline at my alumni. Um, it was an opportunity that I got just because I was performing in downtown St. Pete one time, and somebody saw me perform. I was like, "Yo, I think you would be an awesome headliner." And you got to be funny to do shit like that. You got to be funny to get the opportunity. So I'm super excited to have the opportunity. I'm gonna use it as like a soft trial or a soft run of a special that I've been trying to work on called Imagination. And it's kind of leaning into sort of the things that we talked about, like trying to make sure that I'm trying to walk the line between being like authentically who I am and providing a message to kids that I was once were, but then also being like funny and making things that I thought are, making jokes about things that I think are hilarious. So, I'm excited about it because it's my first 30-minute set. I'm nervous about it because it's my first 30-minute set. Right now I think it's student only, but again, like these jokes will be retold in a later format somewhere. And I don't know, man. I have spent the last few weeks right now just traveling and seeing, like I said, some places in the Northeast and coming down home, and I think I'm ready. I think I'm ready, and like I want to do this for the rest of my life. And I think these are like really cool parts of the story. as you already know, like I'm documenting the whole thing. I'm doing a documentary on stand-up comedy too. So this will be a really cool addition to the documentary as well. And the shirts are made, the posters made. I didn't tell you, but I had the poster done yesterday. The shirts are made, the stickers are ready to go. All I need to do is show up and put on a really good show.
Winner, chicken dinner.
Chicken dinner.
I'll be
Yeah.
honest, one of my favorite things, like how you were saying, seeing like growth in like physical growth. Like one of my favorite things is like seeing shit at like the cutting room floor and then like it move like to where like even like so like I'll mess with you about it like being in the OnlyFriends and then now it's like in the main shit and it's like all right, like there's obviously a comfortability there to where it's like it's not just shared amongst the people that I know are not gonna say crazy shit to me. It's shared to everybody where it's like, look, I could get some love or I could get something else. You know what I'm saying? And that is like I'm comfortable enough to be like, I can do this and not really worry about that. And you know, you like, hey, I'm good at this. Like
Yeah.
I'm better at this than I was, and I know how to get better at this. So I'm super comfortable. So in 17 months, which is not a lot of time, it's like, hey, it's moving up, and then now you're doing the bigger shows, and then getting it right. So that's always really, really cool to see visually, uh, physical growth as well as like mental growth for people, because that's dope.
Hell
And
yeah.
it's not easy.
Hell yeah, bro. This is me wearing the tank top. Like, you know, you put on the tank top and you show up your triceps, you know, I got this and I know how to get stronger. And like, I don't even know exactly how to tell you to do it, but I know that if I eat right, go to sleep, drink water, I'm going to be stronger and I can show my arms off. This exact thing. Like I am now, I can, first off, and I hate to like, I'm trying to be humble here, but like, I know that I'm going to make, there's no conversation about me not making, like, I know how to do this now. I know I'm going to make it and I'm only getting better. Like I'm, literally the new material that I'm writing is only going to get better. And they say like it takes like 10 years. And like, you know, it probably will take 10 years, which I'm comfortable with, but I know what's going to happen. Like,
Yeah.
I just know it. There's no, between the visuals that I work with Pat, between the ideas, between the video that I'm working with Tyreek, like there's just no, it's gonna happen. So,
Which means you got the juice now. Like that's the exciting part. Like when you got the juice, you've cut all the minutia out. I've trialed and errored it already. Now I know I can be more efficient now.
yeah.
I know exactly what works and I can skip the bullshit. And that's when you be really locked in.
Yeah.
For sure.
That's dope.
John Boy, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. Follow Johnny Tsunami on everything.
At Johnny Tsunami on most things. I got to figure that out. I don't know. I don't want to let go of the moniker, but like that's like the last piece for me is like if I really want to make it easy for people to meet for people to follow me, I got to change the moniker because I don't think people can spell tsunami for some odd reason.
Well,
Because of that TV fucking them up. That TV fucking them up. It's the T. It's the T. How you spell tsunami? That's an S, right? Like, no, it's a T there, my boy. It's silent in this motherfucker. Yeah.
That's crazy. But yeah, Johnny Tsunami and everything, it'll change soon. But I appreciate y'all boys, man. Thank y'all for having me. I can't wait for the next
Of course.
episode. And good luck to me. I know y'all are shooting me good luck, but I'm gonna say it for y'all.
Yeah.
Good luck to me. And I'll let y'all boys
Break the leg.
You'll kill it.
Appreciate y'all.
Yeah, for sure.
Peace.
So to close, man, real quick, just some political shit. Shout out to John Boy there,
Yeah.
like, y'all clap it up for that. We talked a little bit about what went wrong with the Democratic Party. I think that you and I are both in agreement that no matter what people are saying went wrong, the main thing is always going to be the main thing. And the main thing in America is racism. And after that, you get a little sexism, a little bit of misogyny.
Racisms.
Yeah. So, you know, isms and phobias will ruin this country and have ruined this country from the jump. Is there anything that you have maybe gleaned in this week or any new perspectives that you have seen in a week?
Yeah, actually, it have. So when it comes to everyone else in understanding racism, sexism, misogyny, things like that, the thing that I keep going back and forth with, because I think there is a complicated answer. I also think the answer is not that complicated at all. Think when you try to find something else, I think it always you find something, but it ends up still leading there.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what the percentages would be on how much of it has to do with her being black, how much of it has to do with her being a woman, uh, and how much of it has to do with her being a black woman. Like I don't know. But every single thing that they point to, it always comes back to it. Like people purposely splitting the ticket. Van said something about I gave Barack Obama my vote simply because he's black, and like how come she not getting your vote? Simply because she's black. If we're just talking about maybe sexism on that side. Um, and then some people that just don't believe that women should lead, even though they'll say, hey, the women, the I got to talk to my wife. I hear it on the phones all the time. I got to talk to my wife. She's the CEO, she's the bookkeeper, all this other shit. So like you're admitting that like I can't make any financial decisions without her, but she runs your household, but she can't run your country. Like that doesn't make any sense to me. Like women, like even with people saying like women are too emotional and stuff like that, it's like this nigga Donald Trump got hung up on crowd sizes. You know what I'm saying? Like we can't talk about emotional people, and we're dealing with the most hot and cold person we could have in office. You know what I'm saying? He has the nuclear codes. I'm pretty sure she can't be that much worse than handing that over to him. And so the thing with all that being said, the thing that I've just learned mostly is just that it's hard for you to recognize your privilege. It's difficult, even if you mean well. Even if you mean well, what's my boy name? With James Call what's his forget his name
Carville.
Gladville, like he didn't even understand it, and he seemed like a pretty understanding guy when was on the pod. And then at the end of the day, it's like it's a white dude from Louisiana. Again, I think there's just something that you're gonna miss with being white in the South. It's just something you're gonna miss from being white. And I don't even know if that necessarily makes white people bad. You know what I'm saying? I just think that it's hard for you to understand privilege when you yourself have some type of deficiency. And so you just lost and you're grasping at straws, and you don't want to believe that the country you love didn't vote for this lady simply because she was a lady. Like it's hard to reconcile with that.
All signs are pointing to that. Once again, you know, even when they say we got to get away with this woke stuff. Well, equity for women is a part of the woke. Like that's a part of the woke stuff. Like making sure women are heard. Like that, all that is lumped into the same things. You got the Black Lives Matter. They lump Black Lives Matter, defund the police, right along with Me Too, say her name. Say her name is, Black Lives Matter, hands up, all that type of stuff. They lump all of that in with, you know, LGBTQ rights and DEI, and like they lump it all in, and CRT. It's all lumped into this one thing that they just call wokeness. And the reality is, which we spoke about before, staying woke it comes from the Black community and having to literally like be aware of where you are at. Like you need to stay woke because they out here. So I need you to be aware of your surroundings, where you're at, who you're talking to, and you need to. That's why we had the Green Book, that showed us where we could travel to, where we could eat at, what spaces we could find lodging at, which is why the Jackson House in Tampa is so important. Like all of these things, so they co-opt all of these terms and they demonize them and they turn them into boogeymans, and they use them to excuse, right? They use them and they use that as the figurehead to excuse and explain away what is just racism, sexism, homophobia, and xenophobia, right? We can boil it all down to that. You don't want immigrants into the country, right? Although immigrants are the most law-abiding, population in the country, documented or undocumented immigrants, right? Legal, illegal, immigrants as a whole are the most law-abiding citizens in the country. Any metric, right? Yet you have an instance where some a young white woman is killed here in Georgia, and that sets off. Oh well, it must be true that these immigrants are, murdering and raping and killing. That sets off confirmation for everything. Confirmation bias just kicks right in. Yet we can't call for a reallocation of police funds when we have seen this across the board. When it's us, when you've seen this in terms of Orlando Castile, Sandra Bland, Brianna in Kentucky, Trayvon Martin back then, we got so many cases that we can just run down this list of Black people being harmed, not only harmed, but their lives being taken by the police. And yet we are to believe that it's just a few bad apples. Yet y'all are willing to now put somebody in power who is going to appoint the next leader of the homeland. Yeah, it's going to put somebody that'll be in charge of deporting people, that has said, well, what about these families that are blended with illegal immigrants or undocumented people, documented people that have birthright citizenship? Well, that's an easy solve. We'll get rid of all of them. That takes a level of like cognitive dissonance that I don't have. I don't have that to tap into. I just don't. And it's it's upsetting. It's strange. Hell, I've been called emotional by other niggas, and I'm like, how does this not make you emotional, knowing what they're taking from us off of the grounds of a lie? When you say, hey, I feel a way about cops killing us, you're told it's a bad apple. One, Hispanic person that happens to be an illegal immigrant does one crime ever, and now Haitians are eating cats and dogs. They admit to making it up. Just completely, we're okay with all of it. They're not okay with your multiple data points where you're, so it just becomes hard for me, because it's like, yeah, we're creating all this terminology, and I get it. I fuck with creating terminology for things. We need a word for that feeling. We need a word for that thing. This is the word for it. Don't feel offended by the word for it. It's just the word for it. They don't like you making up the word for it. Well, if we don't like making up words for shit, let's just call it what it is. And it's racism, and it's sexism. And y'all, like, at the heart of it all, y'all don't like women, and y'all don't like Black and brown people. So you're willing to, like, sell out the entire country at this point to maintain your grip, your figurative grip on your lot in life, at this point as the apex predator of America. Everybody else is at the whims and call of whatever that electorate decides to do, and however they decide to swing. And if your Black ass decide to stay home for an election, you giving yourself up. If for whatever reason you don't think that this person is competent, man, somebody sent me a video where Black men were saying that she wasn't clear on what she wanted to do for the economy. And granted, I'm not finna shit on Black men, because at the end of the day, 80% of us voted, so that's 4 out of 5. I call that a good job. We are the most. So
the numbers were static. It's not like it dropped. It was the same.
It's
Yeah.
absolutely not a knock on us. This, what I'm saying right now, is not me knocking black men in particular. But I was sent a video of black men talking about why they didn't vote for Kamala, and it's just because she never gave a clear message. And that's something that I've heard several times. And I'm like, what the fuck are you guys looking at? Where are you getting your news from? Like, what message wasn't clear? Is it that everything that you saw you thought was a lie? Everything you saw you thought was too good to be true? Like, what is it? Because all the shit that you are telling me that is too bad to be true is actually happening now. Like, the chessboard is being set. And
they ain't
January,
even waiting. It's he's not in office yet. It is
like, come
already
on.
in.
You know, so long spiel there, but yeah, it's just like you said, like man, it's hard to understand how you play a role into all this stuff when it falls at the feet of your privilege. It's just like maybe you have so much of it that you just don't understand. But I think, and it's not necessarily that it's inherently bad or it's inherently wrong for you to be in this position. Like they will say, no white people in this country own slaves. Maybe except if you run a prison, because California voted that slavery could still be legal if you commit a crime, which is why we need to get rid of the prison system. So maybe some people do still own slaves, in a figurative way, not even, but yeah, they're not necessarily that specific crime. The crime of the genocide of Native Americans doesn't fall at the feet of the white Americans that we have in this country today, and maybe that's the thing that makes you feel guilty when we say that we got to take care of those people because your people harmed them. It is what it is. White people are still the majority in this country. Their votes are still counted as more than everybody else's votes. When you think about the Electoral College. So at the end of the day, all of this still falls at the feet of your privilege. So either let it go. Like that's how the country was set up. That's not on you. We are making you aware of it so we can work towards fixing it. But when you stand in the way of that progress, now you're wrong. It's not wrong to be white. It's wrong to stand in opposition of progress at the detriment of the country as a whole, and more specifically, these marginalized communities that apparently just they don't matter. And what becomes even more sinister is when you can get those members of the marginalized communities to buy into this vision that only props up rich white people. It's just like, okay, all right. Black people have been warning everybody the whole time we've been in this bitch. Like that's just our, the same, the old trope, magical Negroes making life better for white folk. That's essentially what we do. That's our job. That's our lot. That's our task in society. Fix it. And this time we weren't able to. But when we see that trope in movies, the white people typically listen to the advice of the niggas. So it's like we can only do our magic if you guys listen. Like if you guys act on what we're telling you. But once again, no Democratic president has had the majority of the white vote since the Civil Rights Act of 1964. So I think that's telling in itself. And I think, if y'all don't like it, the only way to fix it is to fix it.
That line being crazy. Like that's the line. Like, okay. Interesting. Interesting enough. Yeah. Yeah, I ain't got nothing else on that, to be honest.
Real quick, and maybe I should pop this off into a different video, but Donald Trump announced his 10-point plan to fix the country, to drain the swamp. It's Agenda 47. 10-point plan.
Okay.
On day one, he's going to reissue a 2020 executive order restoring the president's authority to fire rogue bureaucrats. He's going to overhaul the federal departments, agencies, firing all corrupt actors on our national security and intelligence apparatus. fundamentally reform the FISA courts, ensuring that the corruption is rooted out, establish a Truth and Reconciliation Commission to declassify and publish all documents on deep state spying, censorship, and abuses of power, launch a major crackdown on government leaders who collude with the media to create false narratives, pressing criminal charges when appropriate, make every inspector general's office independent from the departments they oversee so that they do not become protectors of the deep state, establish an independent auditing system to continually monitor our intelligence agencies to ensure that they are not spying on citizens or running disinformation campaigns against the American people, continue Trump effort to move parts of federal bureaucracy out of Washington swamp, just like President Trump moved the Bureau of Land Management to Colorado, ban federal bureaucrats from taking jobs at the companies they deal with and regulate, such as Big Pharma, push constitutional amendment to oppose term limits on members of Congress. Among some of those things, when he's talking about Truth and Reconciliation, there's a separate 10-point plan with education to first abolish the Department of Education, and most notably pay out restitution fee for victims of DEI. So, yeah, basically what a lot of that is setting up the pathway for him to fire whoever is not a loyalist, which he's already said he's going to do. I'm not being hyperbolic here. This came out of his own mouth on the campaign trail. Yeah, he's going to fire everybody that isn't a Trump loyalist and basically reinstitute them with people who are. Most notably, the new basically head of the military will be a Fox News host who did serve time in the military, but has never held a government office. He's already said he's going to fire the woke generals. So people that have, spent their career being military men, studying the art of war, kind of being in these situations are now going to be fired and replaced with people that agree with Trump wholeheartedly. And like I said, most notably Fox News anchors. But when it comes to that education front and restitution to be paid out to victims of racial discrimination guised as equity, sounds like reparations for diversity, equity, and inclusion. We're here. White people are going to get reparations again before Black people have seen a penny. How does that make you feel, Bronze?
Joel Embiid still hasn't made it to the finals. Like white people are going to get reparations, and Joel Embiid has still not made it to the finals. Running Drewski me, but anyways, no, yeah, I call back to last episode when I was like, the worst that they could say is no, is not the worst that they can say. Like, I didn't even the level of sinister, and this is probably why I like Man on Fire, by the way, because like the level of evil that you could think of, right? To not just shoo FBA off, like, look, we wasn't gonna do that. We wasn't even listening to that reparation talk y'all was having. To not to just shoot them niggas off, but to be like, I'm gonna give you one better. I'm gonna pay these white people. That was the part where I was like, oh, I didn't even know there was a pathway.
Yeah, that was new shit
to do that.
He kind of snapped with that one. I was like, oh shit.
But I'm like, that's how you know for a fact that it's not all coincidence. They have been planning this for a long time. And I'm just amazed at the level of preparation, the level of sinister, the level of trickery. And it's I actually think it could be worse than we thought.
Mm-hmm.
Like if that's where they starting, like I saw Project 2025 and saw what the bad things were, and it like, hey, it's bad, but like, hey man, it's only 4 years, right? He should be able to figure this out. And it actually feels like they're setting it up for it to be really difficult to fix.
Right.
Like where you can have 4 or 5 straight Democratic presidents and that'll probably get it right. And you're talking about assuming they all have 2 terms and you're talking about
40,
4
40, 50
Democratic
years.
presidents. That's like just for it to get back right, like the damage will be catastrophic.
I was talking to my sister about this. We're still feeling the effects of the crack era and everything that came from that. We're still
In the
feeling we're
80s.
still feeling the effects of you know, Ronald Reagan. There are laws that are put into place that perpetually, you know, they're laws, right? Like that's the way the laws are supposed to work,
Mhm.
perpetually, right? They're supposed to always work, and the way that we fix them and update them for the times is by amendments. But you know, different administrations put their policies into place. Ronald Reagan and the effects of that nigga's administration have like ravaged this country for years, decades. At this point, a generation can be traced back. A generation's failure, generation's pain can be traced back to that man. You get the crack era, and you get trickle down economics. Leading up to that, what happens, that I guess is just a pattern. Democrats, you know, try to prove that, you know, they are tough on crime, and they start leaning right, and they start pushing policies. You get the crime bill, right? Mass imprisonment for mass incarceration for black people. You get that from there. You get 10/20 life, Democratic policies that are now trying to undo that damage now. It's been a generation already. It's a generation of kids that grew up without their parents because of the harsh laws that you put on people for crack that you didn't put on them for coke. You know, and then those sentencing guidelines that affected black people primarily. Then you got George Bush getting in, and we all know the damage that George Bush getting in because that's us. But more specifically, No Child Left Behind ended up leaving all these kids behind that now have kids that cannot read a grade level. So the children of the crack babies get No Child Left Behind. The children of No Child Left Behind run into a pandemic where they're off school for 2 years. And now they're trying to catch back up. And they get at kindergarten, you know, you get out of school for those 2 years. You come back to school because of COVID. You come back to school, you're in second grade now. They just pushing you through. You were homeschooled for the last 2 years, essentially. They push you through. And by the time you make it out of elementary school, they abolish the Department of Education. What are we doing? Like this, like you said, it's going to take 40, 50 years to fix all this shit. And that's if you get the representation right.
The 4 or 5 straight, you know.
It's if you get the
Yeah.
correct representation that wants to do something about it. This man came in, and that's the problem, and that's why he won ultimately. Outside of his fucking racist promises and all this shit that he's promised that's gonna harm everybody, they know that he's gonna get it done because they, not even a week into it, he's saying, hey, I'm gonna do this over here, I'm gonna do this over here, and he's putting people in place to ensure that they'll get it done. He's gonna sign executive orders because he has the Supreme Court, the Congress, the Senate, and the House, because he has all of these, has everything. He has the board. There won't be any type of roadblocks or protections that we can put into place. The only thing you'll be able to do is put your dissent on the record. And I'm taking this from, I can't even say that this is out of my brain. The guest that we had on, D'Angelo, I forget his first name, that runs, you know, a Tampa Bay activist network. the Restorative Justice Coalition,
Mhm.
he posted, if you do not make your dissent known, he posted a Zora Neale Hurston quote where it's like, if you don't speak up, they'll kill you and say you like. So at this point, there isn't much you can do on a federal level except let them know that you're not fucking with it. Write letters. I won't even say make phone calls. Write letters. Make copies of those letters. Let it be known that we don't agree with this. But outside of that, we gotta work hyper local. It's time for people in my generation, like, I think my sister is 35, my oldest sister is 37. It's time for people in that age range to start trying to run for office locally, because that's kind of how the Republicans honestly did it. We might need to take their model. And yeah, as far as how they got it power, run for these local elections, change your school boards, all that type of stuff, and then maybe we can, start to see this change again. But right now, I mean, hey, checkmate. We said it last week. We're in the end game now. Checkmate. We'll see. We'll be able to fix it, maybe for our grandkids. But as far as us goes, hey, turn the music up. Turn the music up. Get to work, because it's over with at this point. Like, if you don't plan on running for no type of office, educate yourself, read, but turn the music up, man. We're trying to dance, trying to have fun. We're here for a good time, not a long time. And that has been now solidified. I don't get it. White people decided to vote against all of their own interests. People that want their kids out of their house voted against $25,000 down payment for their kids to buy their first home. What are you gonna say? What are you gonna do? So it's just like one of those things where it's like, hey, man, I know what's up. You know what's up. We'll do our best to tell you guys what's up. But hey, man, it is what it is. We here now.
Yeah, hopefully they, I would say hopefully they come screaming back, because that's the only way you'll start to understand like how bad it'll be. And then we'll just make shows about it and documentaries about how fucked up it was. So yeah, that's more than likely what'll be back. It'll be in your textbook. It'll be in your kid's textbook, rather. It's like, yeah, I remember this shit. Like, I think about that all the time. Like, oh, this is going to be in my kid's textbook. It's like, hey, Dad, do you remember this? I was like, boy, do I remember it? I remember it very vividly, actually.
Yeah, we're gonna have to make sure we check the textbooks, because that's one of the things that they making sure you don't get to tell them. You got to be there to be like,
Oh, yeah, you
hey,
read it. Yeah, you read it. You're like, it
say
happened like this.
like this. Yeah, straight up.
This is
Straight
not
up.
what happened. It's like, I got the iCloud footage. The show. I got it
Right.
here. This is what
Right.
happened.
For sure.
This is what happened. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that's probably about it. Yes.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, episode 84. That's our podcast, and we'll be back next week.
Whoop, whoop.